Good morning. I'd like to call to order the August 14th, 2025 special session of the Harris County Board of Education. At this time, I will entertain a motion that we approve our agenda as presented. Mr. Goodnow, second. Mr. Johnston, any discussion? All in favor? So moved. So good morning, everyone. As chair of the Harris County Board of Education, I would like to formally call this public hearing to order on behalf of the entire board. Thank you for joining us this morning as we begin the second public hearing regarding the proposed millage rate for the Harris County School District. This morning's hearing is the second of several scheduled opportunities for public comment on a matter of significant importance to both our school system and our community, the tentative adoption of a new millage rate. The board has tentatively adopted a millage rate of 18.5 mills, which reflects a 15.44% increase in property taxes over the rollback rate of 16.025 mills. This proposed increase is a result of careful consideration and reflects the needs of our growing district, including the maintenance and enhancement of educational services, staffing, and operational support for our schools. To help our community understand the impact for a home with a fair market value of $400,000, this increase would result in an estimated additional tax of approximately $320. For non-homesteaded property valued at $250,000, the proposed increase equates to roughly $200. We recognize that any proposed tax increase requires full transparency and open dialogue. That's why we're holding these 4 public hearings on this matter, as required by law and in keeping with our commitment to community engagement. The full schedule of public hearings is as follows. We had one last week, August 7th, 2025 at 6 p.m. We have this morning meeting, August 14th, 2025, and we have another one this evening at 6 o'clock in this room here, and then another one on August 2025 at 10 a.m. All hearings will take place here in the auditorium of the central office at 132 Barnes Mill Road, Hamilton, Georgia. This is a public forum, and we welcome all concerned citizens who wish to speak or seek clarification. Your feedback is vital to the process and to decisions we make as stewards of public education in Harris County. With that, we will now proceed with a presentation. Dr. Finney, are you going to do your presentation this morning?
So I'm going to change it up just a little bit from last week. There are some slides for public use back in the back. If you didn't pick them up, you can pick those up. And so it just has some information about the school district and some things that we're going to be discussing. But to honor your time to come here and speak today, if you intend to speak, please sign up in the back. That doesn't require you to speak, but then we will call your names to speak. To honor your time and to hear you all first, I will do a very, very brief, short presentation of these slides at the conclusion of this meeting. But we want to hear from you all first. So, Mr. Chair.
So, as Dr. Finney alluded to, each speaker will be allotted time in accordance with our standard public participation procedures. Everyone will get 5 minutes. If you watched our first hearing, if you need additional time, we're going to be courteous to the other folks that want to speak behind you. And so, So we will allow you to speak for 5 minutes. And then if you want to come back after everyone else has spoken, if you have some other things you want to add, we will give you additional time at the end. We know that this is in the middle of a workday for some of us. So, I know you may be time pressed. So we want to give everybody their opportunity to speak. And then if you want to speak again or have additional comments, we'll give you additional time after everyone has had an opportunity to speak. All right. So thank you for your attention and your continued support of Harris County Schools. At this time, Miss Joyce, is it Hart? Would you please come up? So if you would, state your name and your address, and then the floor is yours.
Speak to you guys. I'm Joyce Hart, and I live at 1158 Pierce Road in Waverly Hall. And thank y'all for letting us come and having the opportunity to speak. And I'm glad some people have showed up. I wish more would stand up. I do realize that we do have a good school system. I will give y'all that. However, there comes a time when, and I know there's a lot of needs for the school system, My family works in the education, so I understand that. However, it has become a terrible burden to the property owners for the taxes that the school board is placing on us. I've complained about taxes before and gone to the county seat. And I do know that most of our taxes go to the school board, over 67% or something of our taxes. I was told because we don't have an industry to help subsidize the education. You know, we're mostly residential things. We need to find some. We need another revenue source to ease the burden from the taxpayers. I'm sure y'all realize that. It's like we're the seniors and the people on limited incomes are being taxed out of this county. Harris County is the 6th wealthiest county in Georgia. I know that because I just checked it this morning. Have a lot of wealth in this county. With that comes a lot of problems. Some of us don't have kids. I've lived out here 30 years. I've never had kids in this school system, yet I support it and we do our fair share. But there should be something for seniors or people on fixed incomes because people's going to be losing their homes. The school board wants to go up, the county wants to go up for different services that they need, but there's got to be another way to come to the same conclusion without placing all the burden on the homeowners and the taxpayers. That's the only thing I'm saying. We need to come together and just seek other alternative ways instead of just the taxpayer. That it just gets dumped on the property owner because that's what we have. And there just got to be another way or subsidize it. Maybe some, but something to kind of buffer in. I think that's what most of the people that are here would like to say. You know, let's just explore other things and not just put it out and say we're going to tax. Put it up to the county, but let's vote on it. Have a vote where you vote. We think we vote for things that goes across county and we go and everybody votes because not everybody's going to come to these meetings. I don't know why. I do know it's a democracy and they should come and voice their opinions, but let's just offer other things instead of just saying that's what we're going to do. And thank y'all for letting me talk.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Miss, ready? Mr. Jerry Strong? Good morning, sir.
My name's Jerry Strong. I live at 1897 Davidson Road, West Point, Georgia. I don't attend any of your meetings. I know really not a whole lot about what's going on up here. But when I look at the number of new schools you built, I'm proud to say they are part of Harris County, but I think you went overboard in building so quick, but whatever, I'm on a fixed income, will be for the rest of my life. And I'd like to be able to keep what I have. And y'all increasing on 15%, not helping that situation at all. I can't tell you a whole lot about what your cost is. I read what I could. I didn't have my glasses this morning to read it, but we need help too. When you're on a fixed income, increases don't help at all.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh. Mr. David Bill? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
My name's David Bill. I live at 160 Rhodes Drive in Lickskillet, Georgia, on the west side. And I'm a resident of Hamilton in that area, believe it or not. They consider it Hamilton.
Mr. Bill, could you pull that microphone just towards you a little bit? Thank you, sir. So the people behind you can hear.
Okay.
Thank you.
We're here to talk about this tax increase. And I've been living in the county since 76, got married up here, have been here ever since and plan on retiring and dying. And so it's a great county that's grown, but we're going to have to take personal responsibility of capping all these taxes. I'm looking here at the list of why the increases that we have here. Me being an ex-state employee and running a department, I know about a lot of this kind of stuff because I had to write my own budget every year. And I did it and found ways to make money and look at things in a different way to acquire the equipment, acquire the personnel, keep them around and keep everybody working in the same way, but going along with the inflationary factors and things we can't do a lot of since we don't control the inflationary factors. The first thing you had on here is Georgia Health Insurance. How many people are being represented? How many employees do you have being represented with this health insurance now in the county, since y'all are the biggest employer with your tax increase
So
justification?
we had just over 1,000 employees, and Megan,
We have over 500 employees that participate in our state health benefits plan.
Okay, are all those teachers or full-time?
Yes, they have to be full-time to be eligible to receive them.
So there's basically 500 people that are full-time.
We have 815 full-time employees. 595 of those participate in the state health plan. We also have 245 part-time employees that are not eligible for state health.
Okay, leading up to this TRS employment paid contribution, the way I understand it is the employees pay a percentage and the state pays the other. So
Yeah.
you're adding to that.
so these two,
Do
so these two mandates, and I'm going to cover this in my information, but the two mandates from the state is they have increased the employer paid contribution to the teacher retirement system and the state health insurance. They did not increase the employee's contribution, only the employer's contribution.
Okay,
And we've already been notified that the TRS, the teacher retirement system, that's going to go up again in FY27.
something to be looked at,
Yeah.
a different way of doing it. I don't know. With our state acquiring so much money in the coffers, they should be doing a lot more for us in that. Maybe it needs to be looked into so we can help our employees here. New state curriculum standards. Do we have any books that are printed by the state for use in this county on education?
Yes, we do. So
That's-
under the new law that they passed, the Georgia literacy law, they made a lot of changes and restrictions on how you can teach literacy and what you can teach. The state legislators had committees from some university and some other foundations that prescribed to schools and districts what they consider the best way to teach literacy. So it restricted us on the materials that we could use. So in many instances, Harris County being one of them, we had to buy new instructional materials to be in accordance with this law that was given to us. And that extra cost was about $1 million, just over $1 million to purchase those literacy materials.
Can I break you right this second, sir? My time has run out. Could I ask for a couple minutes?
We
more?
will give you a couple minutes after we give everybody else a time to speak. We'll let you come back up.
Yep.
Okay.
Just in case somebody has to get to work or something like that, we
Yep.
want to be considerate of their time. Thank you, sir. Miss Carrie Assam. Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Carrie Calls-Assam, and I am the mother of 5 excellent Harris County School District children. I'm also a landowner on 3380 Fortune Hill Road here in Hamilton. I'm here this morning to respectfully ask you to vote no on this millage rate increase. In June, Dr. Finney stated that our high financial efficacy rating demonstrates that we're doing so while being responsible with our resources. And this is exactly the standard that I expect from our school district, and one that I believe can be met without raising our property taxes. This school year, we have increased our administrative staffing without proportionate student or classroom staffing growth signals. This signals inefficacy and poor resource allocation. This year, our administration created at least one new position, the Director of Strategic Communications, and there may be others. The Harris County High School has 6 administrators in position and 4 academic counselors. Now, the value over the past few years, our student enrollment has remained fairly stable, ranging from a slight decline in 2020 and 2021 to modest growth in 22 and 23, showing no rapid enrollment surge to justify the increased overhead. Georgia's public schools have seen administrative staffing increase at a much higher and faster pace than both student enrollment and teacher staffing. Districts have become top-heavy and spend like they have deep pockets, at the detriment of the very families that they are charged with serving. For a district committed to fiscal responsibility, it is essential to maintain lean operations and ensure that any new positions are demonstrably necessary and directly support student learning. Now, it's my understanding that you guys just used ESPOS funds to purchase an AI surveillance system for our school district, costing just under $1 million. I fully recognize that school safety is an essential priority, and our community shares a deep commitment to protecting our students and staff. However, there has not been a clearly documented, data-driven case showing that this particular system is the most effective or cost-efficient solution for our district's needs. Without the evidence, it's difficult to justify such a large allocation when those same funds could have been directed towards essential infrastructure upgrades like the new school that you wish to build or other capital projects. I would go as far to say that this expensive system works no better than the average $2,000 metal detection system that we could have purchased multiple times over, however many we needed. I question the need for this system and the use of ESPOS funds for this, which it is a capital improvement. However, I would have liked to have seen these funds be geared towards other capital improvements like the new school that you wish to build. Furthermore, protecting community affordability and family priorities. As a mother of 5 children, my hope and dream is that my kids can graduate from Harris County School District and get married and raise their families right here in Harris County. That's why I bought land, so that I would have plenty for my children. But in order to be able to do that, it has to be affordable for them to be able to pay these taxes to build and to continue to live here. Every property tax increase raises the cost of living in Harris County, making it harder for young families to buy a home here and for longtime residents to remain in the community that they love. These costs don't stop for property owners alone. Renters will also feel the impact as landlords pass on the higher taxes, raising housing costs for working families and seniors on fixed incomes. Even modest tax increases create real trade-offs for families. Every additional dollar spent on higher property taxes is a dollar that cannot be used for children's extracurricular activities. And we know we love our sports here in Harris County. This takes away money from school supplies, healthcare, or basic household needs. Increasing the millage rate comes at a detriment to the very families of this district that you are charged with serving. The district should be working to make it easier, not harder, for families to invest in their children's success. In closing, as Dr. Finney said in June, our high financial efficacy rating demonstrates that we are doing so while being responsible with our resources. I believe that with careful budgeting and prioritization, we can continue meeting our students' needs without placing an additional financial burden on Harris County families. Taxpayers deserve clear, comparative, year-over-year data showing the number of administrators, teachers, and students, along with the cost breakdowns for resources for major projects like Evolve. The transparency would allow communities to see whether resources are being directed towards priorities and have the greatest impact on student learning and community well-being. I respectfully ask for you to vote no on the proposed millage rate increase and demonstrate that the district's stated commitment to fiscal responsibility is more than defiance.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mr. Tom Raymond? Ramon, I'm sorry, sir.
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Good morning, sir.
I'm Tom Ramon. Um, I have a property on Hopewell Church Road, and we also have a property here in Hamilton. We're business owners. This increase would push our taxes up over $12,000 a year, which is absolutely ridiculous. That's a lot of money. I can't imagine how crushing it must be for senior citizens in this county that are on a fixed income. There's some things that I think that we could address to help this. I think our out of county tuition is extremely low. Just doing the math, looking at your budget, I think it's 93 million is what the budget was. With 5,500 students, that's about 15,000 a student. So we're bringing kids in from out of the county for $4,700. Correct me if I'm wrong on any of these numbers. So we're gifting people that live outside of our county $11,000 to educate their children. So I think, if it's going to cost us that much money as residents here, I think it's fair that they should pay what we're paying to bring their children into the county. When you look at the cost of the insurance for the teachers, and, I realize nobody likes high, health insurance, but if it's going up, I think the teachers should bear some of that cost. Because a lot of them that don't live in the county bring their children into the county for free, correct? For education, which is great. But that's a $15,000 gift to the teachers if they don't live in the county. So that's a pay increase as far as I'm concerned. So that's something that they benefit from also. So instead of bringing all the cost on to the folks of the county, I think it's important that, they kind of bump it up a little bit and pay for it themselves, because we're all dealing with that. Everybody's costs are going up. Getting back to the out of county tuition, I personally knew of a family with 3 kids that were in the county last year. I think that is rampant. I think there's a lot of people that live outside of the county that are bringing their kids in here. We're in real estate. I travel between Muskogee County and the high school because our office is here in town. And when I'm coming in during pickup at the high school, you can't imagine the number of Muskogee tags I see pulling into the high school. So, I'm maybe grandparents, it may be shared custody coming to pick up for that portion of the week. There's a lot of things could explain it, but there's a lot of them. So I think we could really save some money if we identify those children and we increase the tuition to really be what it costs to educate the kids in the county. I think that's important.
Can you stop his time real quick? I want to speak to you on that real quick. We're stopping your time.
Okay.
When we go and visit schools
Mhm.
in the afternoon, this gentleman right here and myself, we stand out there in the pickup line and we write down tag numbers of anybody that's out of town or out of state. And we look at the child that's getting in there and we get a staff member. What is that child's name? And we turn it into the office and we.
You do that research?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there were some of them that slipped through the cracks.
Well, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are.
Because I knew of them and,
Yes, please.
I don't want to be callous when I say this because I want every child in the United States to have an education.
And we do too. And we want Harris County
You know.
schools to be for Harris County students.
Exactly.
And you're not wrong.
And I don't Harris County students, if you like the education in Harris County because it's so good and you want to send your kids here, pay for it.
So what we did this year is we changed our residency verification rules, where in the past, some of the stuff that they could use that was easy to get, like a voter registration card, you can easily get a voter registration ID and not live in Harris County. We no longer take that. We've required that all parents have to have a driver's license at the residence at which they're claiming. So they now have to have 3 proofs of residence rather than 2. What people often don't understand is there is a state rule that says and requires us, and we have nothing to do with this. We have to register a child for 30 days We have to register a child for 30 days with no proof of residence. That's a state law. When we do that, we do try to follow up with them and get that proof of residence. And then we pursue it in the best way we can. There's also federal law, the Dexter-Mosley law. The Dexter-Mosley law really hampers some of this process because the federal law, Dexter-Mosley says people can claim homelessness. And there's very little questions and there's very little intervention that legally we can engage in when somebody claims that. And so we are doing our very best to investigate those where we can. The best thing that we get from people is when they can contact me, give me all of the information that we could use, and then check with those parents. Short of going to a home, sometimes when you've got family members that you're claiming to live with and you've got all of the proofs of residence, short of going to a home and knocking on the door at night and ensuring that child is sleeping at that home, it gets very difficult. We used to do that. You can imagine how dangerous that is in today's day and time for a staff member from the school district to roll up into somebody's house and question that. So what you're saying is absolutely true. It's a problem. It is absolutely a problem. And I agree with you 100%. And we're doing everything we can to mitigate that problem and develop as many creative solutions as we can. You know, yeah, you're exactly
I
right.
realize that 5,500 students is
Yeah,
a lot to police.
And one thing too, let me say that compared to years in the past, we had a lot of people that were sneaking in, and it has been cut dramatically. I've even talked to Sheriff Jolly about having some of the police units with the tag readers to sit at the schools and pick that up. But I haven't been able to convince him to do that as of yet.
Yeah.
Well,
No, and it
there's
sounds
a lot of
like it's-
there's a lot of legal implications there, but I can tell you the one thing that has helped us very, very much this year is to increase the number of proofs of residence. The fact that we are requiring them to have a driver's license with their address that they're claiming, that's proved very effective. Has it caught everybody? No, it hasn't caught everybody, but it's caught a lot of people.
I noticed that
Yeah.
when they do registrations, their mailing address doesn't have to be their residence. It can be a PO box.
We no longer take a PO box.
Okay, good.
They have to prove a residence at the county.
that.
I'm glad you reminded me of that because we no longer take a
Okay.
PO
And
box.
I think it would almost
Yeah.
be worth paying someone $60,000 a year
Yeah.
on a night shift to go.
We
knock on
also,
doors.
for people who are renting a home, we require a more robust rental contract from them that lists everybody that's on the house. Under federal law and state law, when somebody claims Dexter Mosley, we have to do something called an affidavit, that they have to sign a sworn affidavit that they actually live with the person that they live with, that they're claiming they live with. We make those people come in with those people that are claiming to live with them, and we make them come in. They can't register online. They have to come in person, and they have to show proof of residence. And the person that's claiming to live with them has to show proofs of residence to include the driver's license with that address.
Is there a large number of the homeless people, the homeless students that register or?
There's not a large, I can get you those numbers. I'll follow up with those numbers if you'll
10% or anything
if you'll
like that?
send, I don't believe it's that high.
Okay.
But we're trying to place that burden on those people so that only the ones that are truly in need get those services.
I just think that maybe we should, punt on this thing for the time being and see if we can get some, maybe some suggestions from the community, put it to a vote or something. I understand everything's getting more expensive, but like, one person was saying, you get retired folks on Social Security, they can push them right out of the county. And us owning 2 properties in here, our home and our business, that's a heavy burden for us to do. So I just, would like you guys to think about maybe pausing and maybe figuring out another way to do it if there's ways to cut or there's anything we can do. So, but I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Miss Debbie Ramon? Good morning.
Guys for hearing us.
Yes, ma'am.
Some of the things my husband touched on, you mentioned that sworn affidavit. I think that the form that they use should perhaps have a big font on top saying that they agree to pay a fine in the amount of double the tuition if they lie on that, or they're agreeing to pay that tuition if their grandchild or child moves out of the house and they don't let the school system know. Because they could move in with mom and dad for, 2 weeks, fill out the forms, fill them out honestly, but then they move. So that might be something that we look at doing as a county. Tom mentioned the Social Security benefits. The average Social Security benefits are $1,800 a month. With the new millage rate, our home would be about 35% of my estimated Social Security every month. So that's a huge chunk of change. And, fixed income that's not just the elderly. Somebody who works at Aflac or at TSIS, they don't get paid more monthly than they do the month before. Yes, they could go have increases, but they're on fixed incomes too.
Everybody is.
Yeah. For right now, the county has been going around assessing all the houses. So that's bringing our taxes up without even changing the millage rate. So I'm asking you guys to vote no, because you don't know when they're done with all these reassessments, what kind of extra money that's going to bring in without bringing up the millage rate. So I know ours went up $120,000 from last year, and our office jumped last year an extra 200,000, and then they just assessed it another 150 more. So that's a lot of money in itself. And for builders, I think if they build more than 15 houses a year, then there needs to be some kind of scale. And as they get up and you look at like Houston, where they're building hundreds of houses a year, they need to be helping with that. And I think a new school bordering another county is again asking for fraud, because it's making it easier for people from Columbus or from LaGrange to move their kids into our school system. And lastly, everything is expensive now. The price of everything has gone up, and everybody's having to tighten their belts. And I really think the school system should be trying to do that too. But I appreciate your time this morning.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Miss Megan Gunther, did I say that last name right? Thank you, ma'am. Good morning.
I'm Megan Gunther. I live at 1379 Barnes Mill Road, just down the street. I'm here to express my opposition to the proposed millage rate from 16.5 mils to 18.5 mils. While I understand the importance of supporting our schools, this increase comes at the top of the years of significant property reassessments that have already raised taxes dramatically. I used to live in Catala for 13 years. In the last 5 years, we've lived here in Hamilton, just down the road. And 3 out of the 5 years, our property assessment value has increased. Just last year, actually, I'll say this, we bought an affordable fixer-upper, and the price that we bought it for now is assessed at double what we paid for it in 5 years. So now the county is taxing us significantly higher. Just this year alone, my land value increased 288%, according to the tax assessor, and my property's fair market value increased 89%. So if you looked at the previous rate, and then my school taxes would have been $1,116.69. Under this proposed millage rate to 18.5 plus my reassessment value, my new tax would be $2,366.85, which is an increase of over $1,250 just to the school system, or 112% tax increase in 1 year. That's a significant increase. Thankfully, I have homestead, and I also qualify for other exemptions. And House Bill 581 helped significantly increase my homestead value, so it did not increase my bill as much. But not everyone is qualified for those exemptions, so not everyone is as lucky as I am. And they're seeing significant increases in value and significant increases to tax bills. So the school district's own budget projections show that the property tax revenue for 2026 is expected to nearly increase $5 million or 18% in just 1 year, without raising the millage rate at all. This proves that the reassessments alone are already generating significant new revenue, and to add a 2 mill rate increase is asking residents to shoulder an unreasonable burden. One of the reasons for an increase cites the lack of commercial and industrial tax base as a reason for an increase. But Harris County has always been a rural county. We cannot continue to spend as if we are not, and then we cannot turn around and blame the lack of longstanding rural nature for fiscal shortfalls. The school district used to be vocal about how residential growth impacts them. I'm pretty vocal. This might be the first time standing here, but I've been to a lot of county commission meetings talking about growth, and the school district has always been number one. I grew up in an area that grew very rapidly, and it affected the school district significantly, building schools and filling them as fast as you could build them, shifting and busing kids all over. I understand that we're a ways from that, but we could easily get there without planning. So we cannot grow. We used to be vocal about it, and then we kind of stopped. The school district stopped talking about how growth affected you guys. They stopped kind of discussing it. It actually just didn't really say anything at all and kind of said, yeah, y'all are fine. But now you're saying that the growth is affecting you. But unfortunately, we can't achieve commercial or economic growth like we need to without density, residential density. And you know that residential density continues to add a burden to the school district. It adds a burden to the county. And so without offsetting that density with commercial, it's just hard to keep up. But you can't get the commercial without the density. So we have to figure out a way to do that. I like impact fees. I understand that impact fees are currently not available for school districts. I know that they have been discussed a lot. I would love to see Georgia allow an impact fee for schools so that you guys could charge it, and then we could build schools at a pace that makes sense instead of waiting for the money to come. Forsyth County has actually had to place a moratorium on their new residential development because their schools could not keep up. So they've actually said that we cannot handle this any longer. Harris County is a long way away from that. I understand that. But if we don't start talking about growth and how it affects us, and if you guys don't start talking to the county and the commissioners and start working together on a real growth plan and what that looks like, then we will be in that state at one point. I have 2 children who live in the school system. One who's there full time, one uses Dexter Mosley because I homeschool him, but he goes to middle school. My oldest is at the high school. He loves the facilities. He's in the new facility all the time. He plays football, he plays soccer. He's on that football field year round. So as much as I appreciate the upgrades and the improvements, if we can't afford them within the budget and our growing revenue, I ask that we reprioritize. Don't spend the money if we don't have it. Even though I love it and we use it, I don't believe that we should spend it. And I just think that we're a small town place and that we love it. We love it, small town. People move here for that reason. So, but I just ask that you guys reconsider.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, I need to make a clarification.
Sure.
I misspoke. Dexter Mosley is the homeschool law. I'm talking McKinney-Vento. So if anybody's getting on there to research the homeless claim law, it's McKinney-Vento. Thank you, Megan.
All right, and Taylor Griffin. Good morning, sir.
Morning. My name's Taylor Griffin. I live at 521 Cedar Drive, Pine Mountain, Georgia. A couple quick questions. Thank y'all for your time and what y'all do. This is a tough job, lose-lose situation, right? Tough position to be. Number of students, kindergarten through 12. Do we know that?
Yes, pre-K through 12th grade is about 5,550 some kids.
Okay.
Yeah, not
Um,
quite 5,600 yet.
Yep. And that number has gone down compared to last year. Is that correct?
Well, we just started this school year, so what we're doing is getting those numbers.
Okay.
We've gone up every year, but this being the first week of school, we're letting everybody get in and get those numbers settled. But I should have those numbers in the next day or so.
Perfect. I know we were talking about we're needing to start raising money for future schools and things like that. So one of the questions I was going to be working towards was, what's that ratio of when do we hit full capacity, right? Is
Sure.
that 2 years out? Is that 5 years out? Are we growing at 100 students a year? Are we growing at 200? Are we holding even? I guess that's where I'm going with that.
Right.
Long-term planning.
I can get those numbers. I can get those numbers for you, but I know last year alone, we grew right at about 100 students
Okay.
coming in for last year. And to go into some of the earnings that we have for a new school, basically, we don't get the amount for a new school based on how many kids we have right now. It's how many kids we've had over the past 5 years and what that projected average is over the next 5 years. So as Megan pointed out, if you have that commercial growth, not the commercial growth, but the residential growth, we don't get credit for a lot of those. It's in our average. So unless you get a downturn of kids, your average never stops growing. Here's something people don't know as well. Pre-K up until this year, we did not get any credit for pre-K students. That's a whole separate funding formula. So we had to have the pre-K kids, but we didn't get counted in our capital outlay for pre-K kids. That now is the case. Sorry. That now is the case. With adding pre-K into our QBE capital outlay allotment for buildings only, not teachers, not anything else, just buildings. Having talked to our state facilities representative, he's our consultant that helps us track all of those numbers. We now have enough elementary kids for a new elementary school. We earn that. Now, how would that happen? You say, well, our tentative plan is you would have to take 5th grade from Creekside and make them back into an elementary school, put them back at elementary school. And then you get counted for pre-K and then kindergarten through 4th grade.
Yeah.
Right. You add 5th grade back, you add pre-K, and then you also get kindergarten through 4th grade. That would then turn Creekside into a 6, 7, and 8 middle school because we've got kids coming from West Point here. We've got kids coming from Waverly Hall here. That would spread our middle schools out just a little bit more. So then you would have 2 middle schools. Okay. Most people say, well, why don't you build a high school? Because the high school is so big. We actually don't earn space for our high school right now because we have the high school and we have the STC. But this is another reason that we're considering this because we have to look down the road for property acquisition, building schools, and one day, probably 10 years or within 10 years, we're going to have to build another high school possibly. So we're in that process of looking 5, 10 years down the road all of the time. Yeah.
Perfect. Leading to the next question would be, like teacher to student ratios. Is there a number there that we're kind of currently targeting?
Yes, there is actually. And we use the state the state guidelines on class sizes. And so each grade level has a different minimum class size and a maximum class size. So kindergarten has a max class size of, now this is foregoing any of the strategic waivers that we have because we do have a strategic waiver for class size according to the state. But a general rule of thumb is a kindergarten class has to have 15 kids and the max class size is 18 kids. So we try to hit that as well. 1st grade through 3rd grade, 21's the max class size, 18's the minimum. 4th grade through 12th grade, 28 is the max class size. So we try to stay under those max class sizes but make sure that we hit the minimum. Last year alone, we had some class sizes that did not meet that minimum, and we actually absorbed some positions last year because of those class sizes. Based on the class sizes that we report, the state gives us has a QBE funding based on all of those grade levels and categories. What people don't often realize, and I spoke at the last meeting that you were here, of the 5 mills, well, not directly the 5 mills that we get from the tax digest, but 5 mills of our QBE funding that we get to the state, we don't even get. 5 mills goes back to the state to go into a big pot of money, and they allocate those grants back to the school districts based on need. So we track those student numbers monthly. Yep.
Awesome. I guess where I'm going with this is the cost to educate per kid is concerning to me. And I know this is a very deep thing y'all impact daily at a big level, huge budgets. I was running numbers off 5,617 kids, so a little bit more. And that gave us roughly a budget per kid of $15,726 per kid, which I know there's all kinds of variables that go into that, obviously, but it's just, it was a concerning number when I looked at what you can educate kids at Pacelli, Glenwood, Lafayette, Flint River, just local entities that also educate children. Those numbers are a good bit less. Now, obviously there's bus you have to pay extra for, and there's other variables, right? But I just want to make sure that we're truly getting all the squeeze we can get. And I know that's what we were here to do, and that's what y'all are working on, and I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure we all were aware that you could literally take that money and educate kids for pretty good bit more. So that was one thing. Other question I had, eSplash obviously can't be used to pay teachers and things of that nature. Are there any things with it inside the budget that it can be used on?
So eSPLOS can be used on capital expenditures, and it has to be capital expenditures that were outlined. It has to be capital expenditures that were outlined in the last referendum. And so right now we're finishing eSPLOS 6, I believe, Megan. We've already passed the eSPLOS 7. And so if we, when eSPLOS 7 comes into effect, I think it's next year. Anyway, when we do the referendum for the eSPLOS, you have to outline the things that the general things that you're going to use it on: buildings, buses, technology, capital improvements, painting, carpet, those kind of things, to our school buildings.
Okay. I guess where I'm going with that is I'd really love to see that go back into the current facilities we have as much as possible the preceding years, because every time we build something new, even if it's out of eSplash, it costs maintenance, it costs future employees, it costs power, it just pulls. Parapro ratio would be my other question. How does that play? And I don't know the answer, so that's why I'm asking.
Yes. So we also monitor our employee index, as far as, just like we constantly monitor the ratio of students to teachers, we also monitor the teachers to students. And we have our QBE formula from the state that's based on what we earn based on how many students we have. Now, if you did that, you would have some you would have some higher class sizes based on what they give you to earn. So we do have a few certified teachers that are beyond what we earn in the QBE formula. So that comes at a local cost. Under the QBE formula as well, we earn parapros for kindergarten and pre-K. And we also earn some special ed parapros through federal grants that we get. There are some additional classified staff that we have that is paid for locally. So, you are right. That is a consideration to continually to continuously look at those locally paid for and locally earned classified staff. Because naturally, when you do the math, even though you're paying for those people locally, when you have a significant increase in healthcare or their retirement system that we have to repay or that we have to provide, it comes at a significant cost that comes with a trade-off. You know, we, and I think Mr. Ramon brought this up about the teachers contributing as part of their portion of we have nothing, we can't set that, the state sets that, and so we have to be within that. But yes, we do look at those classified staff, especially the locally paid ones.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, may I ask?
Yes, sir.
Kind of relating back to your equation, you came up with a number of students and educating a student. Is that figure based upon every student, regardless of if they're have a 504 IEP or a special needs student? Because we have
I just looked up what it said, students from kindergarten through 12,
Right.
and I divided it.
So I think you took the number and divided, and you took
Yeah, that's
you took the budget number and divided by the number of students.
And see, that's a good method to equate to it. But on the flip side of that, we have a large number of special needs students and students with other qualifications, and Park is a Title I school, and it takes double or triple, sometimes depending on what they need to educate them. And unfortunately, well, not say unfortunately or fortunately, the Easter Seals in Columbus and Fort Benning tells people when they move here, if you really, compared to other school systems, if you want your child to receive the services need, come to Harris County. Now, that puts an additional burden on us at trying to educate those children, but there's nothing we can do with them passing that along.
That's right.
Thanks.
And I think I've got about 400 extra baked into what number I ran. So I don't, just throwing that out there. Yes, sir. I just really want to reflect on that because there's a lot of great educations that you can take that same money and get for 3/4 of the cost. And so I just wanted to make sure we're reflecting on that as we're building this out. And I know there's things y'all are required to do by the state that other private facilities don't have to do. Thank y'all for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else that would like to speak that didn't sign up before I give Mr. Bill some additional time? Mr. Bill, could you come back up?
Give a name and address.
No, sir,
No.
you're good.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll make this quick and sweet. How many people in the audience have kids in the school system right now? Could you raise your hand, please? 3. Okay, 5, 6. Okay, how many people out here do not have kids in the school system?
But how many of them did have kids in the school?
Right, of past, the kids are out.
Yeah.
Okay, active kids. So, you know, a lot of people are concerned about being represented by taxes in ways that they don't have a choice. You're taxing, the majority of these people should be landowners and homeowners that are retired, where you're getting the big source of your money. Something doesn't chive right here as far as the representative of the parents that have kids in the system and the ones that do not. We do need to look for alternatives. Y'all haven't mentioned anything about new big industry coming into Harris County, even though there is 2 different avenues that big industry is wanting to come into the county, and some have already initiated some acts through the state government. I would like to hear of your sources of addressing. I don't mean to micromanage or anything, but we want to hear where the monies are coming from right now without us being taxed. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Ooh, thank you, sir.
We gotta fix that.
Yeah. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? So Dr. Finney is going to speak on the slides in the handouts that you have. If you want to stay for that, you can. He's just going to go into some additional detail and kind of explain those so that maybe you have a better understanding of those. If you know, and then after he speaks, we will close the meeting.
If everybody doesn't have a copy, there's a copy back in the back. But I just kind of want to give you a little context of where we're coming from. And again, thank you for everybody being here today. And I just want to reassure you that the board is listening. We are listening to the feedback. And that was one of the questions that we got at the first meeting. Are you really listening? Yes, they are really listening. So I just kind of wanted to give you some context here. We rank on the College and Career Readiness Performance Index assessment from the state. We rank number 4 in the state out of 180 school districts. And, you know, that goes right along with our mission to provide an excellent education for every Harris County school or every Harris County student. We also rank in the top 22% for financial efficiency on our ratings. And according to the Georgia Public Policy Report that was published February 12th, 2025, the Harris County School District, we had the 28th lowest fund reserve out of 180 school districts. So if you started at the bottom with the lowest fund reserves up to the top, we were 28th lowest. We've discussed this to death. More and more people are moving to Harris County, and more people means more kids, means more schools, buses, cafeterias. Here on the I'm not even going to go into the industrial and commercial right now. Mr. Bill, you asked about the commercial and industrial. You would have to ask the commissioners, about that. And oftentimes when we get new industrial and commercial, there is a tax abatement that those companies ask for. And those tax abatements often go on for 10, 20 years before we ever see any of that commercial money coming in. And so tax abatements are a really, really big issue when it comes to commercial properties coming in. I don't know if we're the largest employer anymore, but I think we're second. And we talked about those employees. But, the state has increased our health insurance premiums at the cost of about $1 million. We already had our FY26 budget in process because we start that in October for the next year. And then we got notified as the General Assembly was meeting that they were raising the health insurance for every employee. The employer paid. That was an unfunded $1 million that we had to come up with in the FY26 budget. They did the same thing with TRS, and we've already been told, and that was $1 million. We've already told that's going to go up again in 2027 for the employer. We talked about the new Georgia state curriculum standards for the textbooks and those literacies. They passed these laws that you can only use high quality instructional materials. We have very little leeway now as to what instructional materials a teacher can actually use in the classroom. It has gotten so that the state has dictated to us that a teacher has to get approval from the principal, from their committee at the school, to the curriculum director here before they can implement instructional materials in the classroom. And so we had to buy those materials and will continue to have to buy those materials because a lot of them are consumable. We will continue to have to buy those materials that meet within that law, the high quality instructional material law. Safety and security protocols. We have an SRO in every school, and technically the state legislature will tell you we give the school districts a security grant of about $50,000 per school to pay for safety and security measures. Well, we've been using that state grant to pay our SROs, and that doesn't even cover all of it. So, you know, to have SROs in every school costs almost $500,000. Well, on top of that, where we've already got that safety grant allocated, the state came in after the Barrow County shootings and said you have to put in this emergency alert system, which we went with the Centegix system. So that technically was an unfunded increase that they gave us. Otherwise, we would have had to take the SROs and either eliminate them or pay for them with our budgeted money. Also, we have implemented the weapons detection systems at Harris County High School, Creekside, and Harris County Carver Middle School, and the EOC. This goes back to the private school analogy that you use. When you look at our cost per pupil, we are not out of line with the state. We are probably about average. You know, you took the total budget and divided by the number of kids. That's not really how that works, but I mean, it works for demonstration purposes. If we took that across the board, we'd be about the same. We'd be about average according to everybody else. But just some things to put it in perspective. When you talk about 7 cafeterias that you're running thousands of kids through twice a day, is a significant cost. 7 health clinics that provide health care for kids. Social services departments that rival most cities and counties. We operate a transportation department of almost 100 buses on two times a day, over 436. I've heard it's 436. Somebody told me 470 square miles. That's a lot of transportation. Our recreation department, the athletics, the arts, that kind of stuff that we provide is larger than the Harris County Rec Department. Our IT network alone, where we provide a one-to-one Chromebook for every student, like I said, rivals most mid-sized cities and corporations. So that's just to add some context. To go back to why the increases, Harris County, like I said, we earn a new elementary school right now. We could make an application this coming summer for that new elementary school. We do earn capital outlay money for that school. We're estimating, based on construction costs right now, that will cost $30 million. About a third of it we'll get from the state in capital outlay funds. The rest of it, we've already got the bonds approved to sell those. And then, of course, just the inflationary rates of goods and services. But I've given you some charts here to kind of illustrate what I'm talking about here. On the teacher retirement system, you see in the last 2 years, from FY24 to FY26, the employer paid contribution has almost doubled. And that's a mandate from the state. If you look at the health insurance graph there at the bottom, it's gone in the last 3 years from $6.5 million of employer paid to $13 million in employer paid. That's an increase of $6 million. If you go to my next page here with total tax millage, I've broken it down, the Board of Commissioners millage and the school board millage. And like I said, 5 mils of our QBE funding, we don't even get. It goes back to the state in a pot, and it's divided back into the schools that are low wealth. Do you know who the largest recipient of equalization fund is in the state? Which school district? You would think it would be Quitman County, some of those southern Georgia counties. It's Gwinnett County. Gwinnett County gets the most equalization funds of any school district in the state. Yeah, and they're the largest school district in the state. they generate the most tax revenue in the state, but they get the most of it back. Our 5 mil share is almost $7 million that we earn, but we never see. It goes back to the state. You know, I could go into how your property taxes are calculated, but I don't think we need to do that. It takes the fair market value of your home and takes 40% of it, and that's what it calculates your property tax on. So I'm not saying this is an insignificant amount of money by any means. I don't purport to understand everybody's financial situation. Simply a fact, on a $400,000 house, 40%, if I'm not wrong, is about $160,000. $160,000 on a 2 mil increase is $320. Okay, that would be on top of this massive reassessment that has gone on due to all of the property that has not been assessed for many years being
18.
reassessed all of a sudden. And you know, that is a result of House Bill 581, because now non-homesteaded if you have a homesteaded property right now and you only have a homesteaded property, unless the millage rate changed, your taxes shouldn't have went up. They reassess the non-homesteaded properties because that's what House Bill 581 is requiring now. I would love to say that, you know, those assessments are going to stop, but under House Bill 581, those reassessments have to take place every 3 years. That's the law. And so the county and us, we could have opted out of that, but we did not opt out of that because the voters spoke up and the voters came to meetings that I had and told us, we don't want you to opt out. So we did not opt out. Just a couple more graphs. I'm just a number and a graphs person, so bear with me. I'm sorry, sir, I forgot your name again. Taylor. So when you were asking the questions about, you know, how much percentage goes to instruction, you can clearly see that most of our budget goes to direct instruction, which is paying teachers and the instructional materials and things that go into here. You know, next would be transportation, which I explained the number of buses that we have, and the maintenance and operations. These other pieces are the pieces that you know, make up the remainder of that budget. Mrs. Som, I think it was you that raised the question about the additional position of the strategic communications director. That's not actually a new position. We had contracted that position before. That person is now full-time, but we've always had a communications director. And so I wanted to clarify that too. So that's just some clarification that I wanted to provide you all for some context. And I'm happy to, if the board would indulge me, I would be happy to answer any questions. Yes, ma'am. Well, a simple metal detector detects everything. A simple metal detector would detect my belt buckle, would detect my keys. Well, I mean, yeah. Not exactly, not exactly. In some instances, yes, but the metal detector would pick up everything. So when they've got a protocol whereby if I've got a 3-ring binder in my Chromebook, I hand it around. As I'm handing it around and walking through, you have a person that physically touches that and looks at it and gives it back to the student. So yes, in certain cases, you have to do that, but we refine the process down to the point of limiting those things to be more efficient. But if you had a standard metal detector, it would pick up every single thing. Eyelets on your boots, belt buckle. Yeah, and yeah. and we're working through those things right now. And some people have asked me, well, you know, when you,
No. No. Okay.
yeah, well, I appreciate your feedback on that. Anybody else? Ms. Gunther? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Does the school district have any opinion on how we're going to budget out for years out? And it definitely commercial development that will actually, bring any offset to it. With the lack of infrastructure that we have in the county and the lack of, like density, but you guys have any opinions on how you fund money other besides city taxes?
Here's really why I put that in here is I hear from a lot of people all of the time about especially 65 and older not paying property taxes. And so the main comment that I get is, well, my cousin in Fayette County or my cousin in Gwinnett County or Cobb County or Forsyth County, they don't pay if they're 65 or older. And I just plainly explain to them the reason why is they have so many businesses and so many commercial businesses that generate a huge amount of revenue that offsets what the residential property owners would bear the burden. In Harris County, we are at about 58% of the burden is on residential owners. Only about 8% is commercial or industrial. And that is a huge offset. But when you look at those other counties, it's kind of the other way around or equal. And so it's not that we don't want to give those tax breaks and incentives and things, but when you look at it, that's why they can do it, and we feel like we can't. Here's another thing that I want to reassure everybody is we go through a rigorous budgeting process every year. And it's there's been a lot of comments that I get from people that, well, it's the old, if you don't spend it, we're going to add to it. It's not that at all. We have every principal sits down and does their school budget. Every department sits down there and does their school budget. And we spend weeks with the board going through every single line item of that budget to determine if we need that or not. And that's what we really tried to achieve with what we have. Yeah.
Paying for share. Now, if the state pays their full share, I remember years ago, planning commission meeting and all the departments came, we still board came, talked about getting costs and everything. And there was a lot of time when the state wasn't paying their fair share. We were funding all of that. But 2.5 homes per young student means that the older people within this community are funding the majority of costs of education, which I don't see a problem with. I'm just saying we don't have a commercial problem. I think the issue is the increases to those people. So you retire, you expect your house to be this much, and the next thing you know, your house is being assessed 89% higher than what it was last year. And that's a significant increase. And so it's the lack of being able to budget because it keeps going up, and then the millage rate increase, and the county would be asking for a millage rate increase, if not this year, it'll be next year, or maybe 2 years, and I put it off. It'll be coming as well, so that's gonna be another burden. Has the school district ever considered a tax freeze for 69? But if you're retiring and this is what you're paying, we will not raise your taxes any higher. So then you guys have a budget, it's not a zero,
any longer, but at least you're like, this is our gate, this is gonna be our baseline. That would kind of ease the pressure, but we can't afford without commercial or industry, we're years away from that. I don't know, I mean, there's much think about that, but I don't want to live on this.
Yeah.
There's a reason why I live here on this.
Mhm.
So then you add more people to get to this commercial industry. So I don't know when break even cost comes or if it actually never comes. But a tax freeze would help $65 crowd, where they can budget and.
Right. Well, that might be something to look at. That would be up to the board to decide that. I think you and I are referencing maybe the same Georgia Power report that you've probably seen. But the statement that stood out to me in that report was, they stated that the real solution is to add commercial industrial growth to the tax base. And you've rightly pointed out that that's probably years away. Faster than the residential. Inflation and residential development will continue to put upward pressure on the residents of Harris County if we don't improve with some mix of industrial and commercial.
Education did not increase very much from previous years to this year.
Yes.
Last
Yep.
year. 2024. But the cost of services for the county increased significantly.
Yes. Yeah.
So their costs have gone up a lot. So the cost that actually, the break-even cost of the county is significantly higher than $412,000 for break-even cost
Right.
for taxes. That's if people all pay their fair share, and you have people that, get tax rates and you don't need the income. If they're receiving or retired, no period, if they're disabled, they don't.
Right. Thank you. Anybody? Yes, sir.
Could you explain yourself in the tax increases? You made a study.
Opting out of tax increases?
Yeah.
We opted out of House Bill 581.
No, we opted in. We're
Yeah,
just,
we did not opt out. That's where it all got confusing and how it was worded.
Except by.
Okay, if you voted last November, I think it was November on the presidential election, the ballot, House Bill 581. And it sets a limit to the increase that you can have in the assessed value of your homesteaded property. So if Harris County's property values, and this happens from year to year, are going up 10%, they limit it at the rate of inflation, and they still haven't been clear as to what metric they're going to use in determining that. But let's say it's the consumer price index at 4%. So if the rate of increase in property goes up at 10%, they can only limit it at 3% if that's the CPI. That happened this year. On homesteaded properties, this year, they froze that increase on homesteaded properties. The bill was intended to limit people's increase on their house, their homesteaded house. Property that's not homesteaded does not fall under House Bill 581. So we could have said, the voters in Harris County voted for what I just described by 75%. We could have, and the Board of Commissioners could have said, nope, we're opting out of that. We're not going to do what has been proposed in the state law, which means we could have still assessed your house at 10%. But we did what the voters asked to do. So we are under that consumer price index limit now for homesteaded property. But like I said, what happened? All of this property that is non-homesteaded, when it was reassessed, and it hasn't been reassessed for years, if it was $100,000 15 years ago, what do you think it's worth now? And you go and do a reassessment of that, it's going to be worth significantly more. And so that's what I meant when we opted out. We didn't opt out. We went with what the voters voted for. Yeah.
Being driven by new.
I don't know what each individual voter did, but the idea was it was going to limit the rate of increase on assessments on homesteaded property. So it worked for the homesteaded property. And that was actually by law frozen this year. So if you just have a homesteaded property, it should not have went up. It's unless you have additional land that's not homesteaded, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yes.
Dr. Finney, I'd like to address something. Ms. Gunther, you mentioned about, the industry and things like that. They just brought a huge supplier into the north. Okay, so you know all about that. Well, we weren't approached about the tax abatement until they'd already made the deal. And then they come to us and go, hey, we've made this deal and we need you to sign away the tax money that's going to come from this.
Commercial development expect to happen. And so for the long time, they don't pay. Now, this deal, I think they're building faster, and so we're getting money faster than we are. It actually is doubling the entire revenue of the whole park up there. It's doubling. It's a better deal than we've done in the past, but it came before I was on it. But that is one of my I get called anti-butterfly and things like that, but it's more about if we're going to chase this, when is it break even? Does it break even? And we're going to go here, and then how much are we going to give the tax abatement? How much are they going to get in return? When we actually see the
Right.
So that is always an issue, and that's why I love, and I've been asking for 7, 8 years now that all the entities in this government to get together and talk about the future of Harris County, what it looks like, where we're going, where we're growing, and what the goals are. Because I don't think everyone's on the same page, but there's a lot of talk about how we need to diversify. I'm not saying that it's not wrong. We definitely need to diversify. We don't diversify. We, the taxpayers, will continue to fund everything. And everyone loves a good school district. It makes our property values much higher here because people want to come here. So I don't have a problem with saying that. It's just more that it just stacks on top of each other. The way we have our set values increasing. But yes, I would love for people to talk about that, and I would love to see some commercial road that came in that actually paid its fair share though, and that the school makes money off of it, and that we, the residents, aren't roofing everything that we love about this place while still paying for it.
Well, let me add my 2 cents worth, and these guys up here have heard me say for years. They know what's coming, because ever since I've been on this board, this is my 25th year on this board. Every tax, then like you say, the tax commissioners slap this on our desk and say, you have to sign it without even consulting us. I have complained and moaned and groaned about a tax abatement since I've been sitting on this board and saying, you don't have to give them 100% for 10 years. Have some type of sliding scale where they come in and they start paying to maybe 2, 3, maybe why give them 100%? Give them 85%, and then do 2 years or whatever. Don't give them 10 years of tax-free stuff to do that. And I've said it year after year after year, and you can pull the records. I do not vote for it. For them to send this to us, say you have to sign it, I don't vote for it. I don't care what it is, what people say, oh, well, but we're going to get, 10 jobs, or we're going to get 25 jobs. Yeah, when it's going to start getting the money? 10 years down the road. And then another pet peeve.
Here we go.
See, they know me by heart that this county, and last week I learned even new information that I never knew, that they charge us 2.5% just to send our taxes to our checking account. Nearly $780,000. Then I found out that we were some question about our FLIPA grant. FLIPA grant. Okay, well, we were getting, they even charge us that for the grant. Now, how can you charge us 1% on a grant? We asked them to help us do something, even with their miscalculations in their budget the year before, and who messed up at the tax department. Do they want to work at giving us anything back or reinstating for their mistakes? No, never. But in past commissioners, did not want to work with us. There was just some on there that just says not going to do it. Recently, we have reestablished with the group that's there,
Yes.
getting with them and having meetings to, like you say, we know we have to work together. We've got to be on the same page to find some happy medium between the taxpayers and development. You got this group that wants all rural. You want this group that wants all industry. Somewhere, everybody out there's got to be on the same page. And how you do that or how we do that, we're working at it and trying to get some folks to understand that.
County to work jobs because they can't afford those break-even costs for houses or 380 or 12, and these jobs are not bringing enough for people to actually live here. So bringing a bunch of commercial, a bunch of industry that actually doesn't pay a wage to makes people be able to live here doesn't really do us any good either, because the people that live here are still going to travel out of our county to go to work and pay their money at commercial developments and things like that there. And then come home to live here. So I don't know the answer. I ask these questions a lot, and I'm going to get heavily anti-growth because of these questions. I'm not anti-growth, I'm anti-lack of vision for growth. Without an answer, how much should this cost, are you going to bring in, how much is it going to cost us? What does it look for our community in the future? Is it going to be a place that we want to be? Or are we just going to have all the stuff everyone else has and still have very fantastic?
Yeah, and you're probably aware of the recent, was it Easter Seals?
Yeah.
Or was it that did the assessment that they brought people in to community development folk? Goodwill. And actually, I kind of believe it was initiated farther up at the state level to come they talked with us, the commissioners, some citizens, the chamber, charitable groups and stuff to find out about housing and salary and stuff. And also, I think they were doing this in Athens. Come to find out, they were doing it to get information for some type of chip plant, but they didn't want the same thing to happen that had happened down in Savannah, of the situation that you were talking about, not having the workforce, not having the houses, not, the people couldn't come in and live there and the salaries, all that. So there are higher ups that are above our pay scale that are watching and trying to do stuff, which may be good or bad, depending on how we look at it.
Developing plan that don't pay whether the people live there. Now they're giving money to people to build affordable housing to people who don't live near where they work. There's always, it always looks like we're always chasing something or trading all and then looking for a solution for that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
We have said, we have this STC right down the road. We are willing, if you have a business partner that wants to come into this community and they need this high-tech class taught, we'll put that class in there to provide you with the workforce. We'll let you be part of it. We'll teach them what you need to teach. And that way these students can go and work for that company that we brought into this county. But, we never hear from them. We would be glad to be in on the ground floor of any of that to help support bringing that industry or whatever we need into the county to help provide the workforce when they graduate from our school system. But we don't get included in that.
Well, there are some folks who have invested in us on the STC because they see how well that program's worked and as soon as those kids come out of that program, they're literally hired.
Any other questions? Yes, sir.
What benchmarks do we have to try to make sure we hold, if we approve this new budget, that we're gonna try to rein in on?
Well, I'm sorry, that was the year we built the STC. And so a lot of that money was spent on the Science and Technology Center, refitting and remodeling that building. So that year was kind of a unique year in that respect.
Anyone else?
Oh, sure. Yeah, so the safeguards that are in place that we've got in place are basically our not zero-based budgeting, but the budgeting process that I just described, where each department comes with their budget, and we scrutinize every single line item. To go back to the questions you added before, we're looking at every single class size. We're looking at every single allocation for our QBE. We're looking at how every single student is coded, because in the QBE funding, you have what is a regular student that's funding at one QBE. This gets kind of complicated, but here's the theory behind it. Special ed kids or gifted kids with different exceptionalities, theoretically, it costs more to educate them. So we earn more money for those categories. You earn different amounts of money for kindergarten kids. You earn different amounts of money for first grade through third, fourth grade through 12. People who are early intervention programs, dual enrollment at the high school, you earn different monies for that. CTAE programs, it costs more to provide those programs. So you earn more for that. So you have to make sure that in every kid's daily schedule, you've got them in the right place. And, we do that very meticulously to make sure that we earn every bit of the state money first for each teacher based on their certifications and their years of service. We meticulously go through that as well. Yes, absolutely. Both state and federal. So generally in special needs categories, you have categories 1 through 5. And so category 1 might be counted as 1.5, what we call FTEs, full-time equivalents. 1 FTE is 1 student. So category 1 might be 1.5 FTEs. Category 2 might be 2 FTEs, all the way up to category 5, which is counted as 1 student's counted as 3 FTEs. And that might be somebody like severe and profound that takes a lot of one-on-one care for them. Go ahead.
The state and federal money, is that already included in this budget?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yes,
Perfect.
it is.
Understanding.
Yep. Yeah, that QBE money, correct me if I'm wrong, Megan, but the QBE projections and the state and federal grants are all in that money.
When you look at the budget, the top part is all local and state. And then the second part that has the revenue, it's all federal grants or other income. And so it even breaks it down. Like you can see, it'll say pre-K special needs, or it'll say federal pre-K, or it'll say SPED 6B. And so those, I can get you a copy. It's the budget that we print in the paper, and it's available on our website as well. But it's broken down and you can see exactly how much we get for each grant.
Yeah.
And one thing too, that to interject is that on the QBE formula, it's kind of been updated over the years, but that formula is still, the way the state had it is a little bit antiquated. and how they calculate it. And it's really not calculated, in my opinion, on a fair basis of, how the kids are actually assessed. It needs to be updated. We talked to our senators, representatives, but there again, they're glad to come into the county and do all the hooplas whenever everything's going good. But, I had a guy the other day that said, we're kind of in a pickle. And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, you just told me to call my state representatives and senators because you guys don't do that. And he said, I called them. They said, talk to the school board. And I said, well, yeah, they tell you to call us because they want us to take the heat just because they don't want to have to deal with it. We're here every day in this community, living and working to see you guys. They're not. Only except when they come in and they want to say, oh, we did all this great stuff, but they don't want to take that I'm the one who did the bill. I put 581 through. I did this bill. I did that. You don't see them if it's something that people don't like. Just my opinion.
Any other questions?
And I'm happy to sit, I'm sorry. I'm happy to sit down with anybody at any time if you want further clarification.
Mr. Green?
And I can give time that I don't necessarily have right now.
No, I was just gonna say this real quick. I know there's only 3 of y'all left in here, but I know there's people that will go back and watch this online, and that's fine. When we say we the voters, right? This is what we want. Please remember, we are part of that we. We are affecting our own taxes when we do this. Okay, so I always say this. I'm affecting mine. I'm affecting my sons, my 2 brother-in-laws, my 2 sister-in-laws, 4 nephews, and 3 of my wife's cousins. It makes Thanksgiving very interesting. Okay. We are not just affecting y'all, we're affecting our families too. So it's always one of the things I hate this time of year. We'll all say it. We hate this time of year because we are not only affecting our constituents and the citizens of Harris County, we're affecting ourselves personally as well. And I always, and forgive me for all of my elderly citizens and constituents, I hate the term fixed income. If you make a salary for any business around here, no matter where it is, you're on a fixed income because I promise you that employer ain't gonna pay you any more money because your taxes went up. We're all on fixed incomes. So I hate that term when people come here and use it because my family's on a fixed income. We earned X number of dollars and we got to figure out how we're going to spend it. So, but I do appreciate everybody coming today. A lot of y'all's questions and a lot of y'all's input. We really do take it to heart. I hope y'all don't think that we just let it just brush right through. We don't. We do take that into consideration when we make these decisions. So we always appreciate everybody coming and having their input.
And you're welcome anytime. Half the time when we have a meeting, there's nobody sitting out here except for the principals, and they're required to come to one of the meetings. So we encourage this. We like interacting with the community. We want to be able to tell you our story. We want to be able to interact with you, and we want to hear your concerns. This is your school district. It's not ours.
And we go over major purchases and financial reports, school nutrition reports, enrollment reports. We do all of that monthly, every month.
And I just want to say, the guys up the hill, they didn't have a financial report for 1.5 years. We do a financial report every month. We get audited every year. In the past, we were audited by the state. Now we use Robinson and Grimes in Columbus for the last two years, and they audit us every year.
And
Now
those,
it's a year in reverse. It's a year in the past. It's not current as you go, but they audit us every year, and it's available for you to see if you want to see it.
And they didn't even operate on a budget for several years or several months.
All right. Anyone else? All right. So at this time, I'm going to entertain a motion that we adjourn for the afternoon. Mr. Goodnose, seconded by Mr. Green. Any discussion? All in favor? We stand adjourned.
thank you all.
Thank y'all.
So you got another one of